National House of Assembly passed that law in 2021, but what do we stand to gain in this particular law is essentially to also dictate the directions and the delivery of mental health services in Nigeria. Before now, there are no clear directions on how these services of mental health should be delivered. And the law touches on different areas. If you look at the law, and I want to thank the HealthyMinds for making it very handy for everyone, so that people can also have a look at the law and also understand what the content of this law is. For those who have gone through the law is it has 58 sections in all, and there are about five parts of that law. The first part just briefly talk about the objective of the law as well as the administration part of the act. While the second part talks about the patient's rights, the third part talks about the facility in terms of how the facility should also conduct themselves and the regulation guiding the facility as well. Then the fourth part talks about the criminal proceedings on those who may err in one part or the other, what does the law prescribe for them, and the last part just talk about the properties. And majorly, like I said, the law is come to also regulate how essentially we practice the mental health in Nigeria, and to also protect the patient lightly, because there are about 11 rights of the patients that are also in there in that particular act. And these are rights that also the guest speaker have also talked about. The right to living, the right to quality treatment, the right to decent accommodation, the right to employment, that nobody should be sacked because of having issues of having mental illness. So people should not be sacked on the basis of mental illness in their workplace. And this is what this act comes to protect. It comes to protect the rights of individuals suffering from mental illness. So I think this is the brief summary of what this act is all about. Thank you.
Very good, sir. And to the legal practitioner, from the legal perspective, can we just give us a brief overview of this, what you think about what the act is all about, what we need to know as a legal practitioner?
Please permit me to stand on the already well-established protocol. I also acknowledge the presence of the MD, the prof that has taught us this morning, and everyone here present. From the legal perspective, speaking of the National Mental Health Act of 2021, just like it was earlier mentioned, the Act came in to replace the Lunacy Act of 1958. That Lunacy Act was a reenactment of the Lunacy Ordinance of 1912, which was a colonial law. So the Lunacy Ordinance then was made to protect public order and safety. So the focus of that law was public safety and public order. So when they see anyone with mental health issues, it is to confine those people to asylum, as has been earlier said. So the focus was safety and order, not treatment of the mentally ill. So the 2021 Act, after various efforts, just like was mentioned, was passed into law, and it was sponsored by one of the senators from Kwara State here, which was passed into law in 2021, signed by the then President Muhammadu Buhari. So from the legal perspective, the Act protects and guarantees the rights of the mentally ill person, of the persons with mental issues. So if you look at the parts dealing with the rights of the mentally ill, it expressly guarantees that the rights that are guaranteed for every Nigerian in the Constitution, in Part 4 of the 1999 Constitution, also applies to everybody who has one mental issue or the other. So the fact of mental illness does not strive you of your rights. Rights to life, rights from torture, rights from inhumane and degrading treatment, all the rights that are guaranteed unto you and I as Nigerians also remains for the mentally ill. And the act also goes further to criminalize, when somebody infringes on the rights of these persons, it criminalizes it. If you look at some parts, the parts or some sections of the act, and some persons can be prosecuted, and terms of imprisonment or fine is imposed for infringement on the rights of mentally ill persons. So it also, from the legal perspective, it also provides for voluntary and involuntary treatment. I'm just talking briefly on some key legal provisions of the Act that may apply to you and I. So it also provides for voluntary and involuntary treatment. First, it provides for informed consent from everybody that is to be subjected to treatment. So nobody should be treated unless the person gives an informed consent. He gives a consent in writing that I want to be treated for this mental illness. Okay, so the law provides for it. But it also provides for involuntary treatment, in that the person may be treated in some circumstances even if he does not give the consent. But it provides the procedure for that. And there are people that can present such people. The first is if that spouse or is not available or is not willing to give consent, then there is also avenue for the police or general public. But those people must give reasons why you think such person should be subjected to involuntary treatment. So the Act also restricts restraints. You are not permitted to restrain anybody just because you are treating the person. Handcuffs, chains, and all of that, all of those things are still common, even in Nigeria today, but it is prohibited by the Act. Use of chains, ropes to tie the mentally ill, even to unduly restrict such persons is prohibited by the law. But that can be done if the person must have they must give their report. In the Act, there is a committee that is called
Let's get to that point. Let's start.
All right. So I'm just trying to give an overview of the Act.
Already giving us we still have some questions where we lead you to where you want to go.
All right. Thank you. Let me stop here, please. Thank you very much.
Okay. So we want to make it so short so that we won't get people bored. Yeah. So, Honorable, legislative perspective, what do you think?
A very good afternoon to the distinguished guests here present. I also most respectfully will adopt the already well-established protocol. From the legislative point of view, or as a parliamentarian, I think it's very important for us to, we've heard my two earlier panelists spoken from the point of view. I won't go into belaboring the issue of patient autonomy and the right of patients and all of that. But I would like to point out two key issues from the Act, which is about decentralization of care. As we know that in the value chain of healthcare services, we have the tertiary, we have the secondary, and I want to give credit to Dr. Ategbeshi for this wonderful initiative. And